Hello, so I'm going to be starting a booktube channel and I'm really excited to be able to share this, and I want to say why I'm creating it to start. So I'm creating a booktube channel because I find them inspiring, I guess, and it gives me a lot of book ideas and it really interests me, and I like to hear what people are reading about and stuff, and it gives me a lot of ideas about what I might want to read next in good books, and I get a lot of different perspectives when I hear what other people think about books, and it's really nice to have the different perspectives and thoughts from other people and their thoughts and ideas on books. Another thing I want to say, my editing is probably not going to be great since it's my first video, and I've been trying different editing softwares for what might work for me and stuff, but yeah, we're just going to see how it goes, and thank you for being here today. So the first book that I'm going to be talking about 3 or 4 different books. And so the first book I'm going to be talking about is The Lightning Thief, because this is like such a great book. And I'm actually reading it for school right now. And I just think it's such a great book. The humor is great. The author has great writing. And the characters are really funny and awesome, and their adventures are just really entertaining. The overall book is definitely such a great book. Definitely recommend it. It's one of my favorite books. It really made me enjoy reading so much more. Like at that time, I was probably in like 3rd or 4th grade. I was kind of getting out of reading, didn't really like it, and then this came along and I'm like, reading is so great again. And I really love it. And the overall stories, even all the other books by the author, are all just so great. I love his writing, and I love the mythology theme. So if you didn't know, Percy Jackson is a book about a boy who is a half-blood, and a half-blood is a person who has a parent as a god and a mortal or human parent, and it's like his adventures and stuff as a half-blood and stuff, and it's really interesting, and you learn a lot about mythology in the book. Other books by Rick Riordan are also really awesome, and I definitely recommend his writing. I've read one book from all of his series. I haven't finished all of his series, but I definitely really recommend them. I love the Percy Jackson series and the Heroes of Olympus series the best. I love the characters, and it's just so fun and entertaining to read. I feel like this book was a relatively fast read for me because I enjoyed it so much. So if you're looking for a fast, really great book, this is definitely a really good book to go with. It's relatively longer, I guess, but the book was so great. It's so hard to put down. So I definitely recommend this book, and I hope you check it out. The next book I'm going to talk about is the book New Kid by Jerry Craft. It's a graphic novel, as you can see, and it's about a kid of color going to a fancy private school and not being mistreated necessarily, but being like kind of ignored by people and them really just not necessarily treating him the same. And so it starts off with him getting like a guide, one of the boys in the school, like a really very rich kid, a white rich kid, is showing him around and stuff, and they actually become really good friends, and it's an inspiring story about like how equality and stuff, and like human rights, I guess, but it was actually, I enjoyed it a lot more than I expected. And I love graphic novels. It was obviously a faster read. It's not really big, and it's a graphic novel, which generally don't take too long. But it was actually a good book that I liked a lot. Some parts were a little bit confusing and I had to reread, but overall definitely a really great, inspiring book that is definitely a book that people should check into. I love graphic novels, and I think this was a really good one. The overall drawings are good, and the overall story, not necessarily the most like exciting action story, but it's a good story about like friendship, acceptance, and kindness, I guess, and I really enjoyed it, and I thought that it was definitely a really inspiring, good book to read. The next book I wanted to talk about is The Missing Found by Margaret Peterson Haddix. I didn't really like this book. I want to start off by just saying, didn't like it, thought it was pretty bad, but it was also a read-aloud book, and read-alouds generally I just hate because I can't really picture the characters, their voices, how they look as much. It makes it harder. Like I don't like audiobooks for that same reason. I can't really think or picture characters at all, and I feel kind of like I have to just listen to what they're saying in their voices, and it doesn't sound right to me, I guess, and I don't enjoy it. Another thing about the book was I feel like it went too fast or too slow at too many times. Like, I feel like some parts were kind of, not really messy, but not really portrayed properly or written out properly, and it could have been written better. There was one part that I didn't like because it was saying that the girl was good at basketball for a girl, and not like she was just good at basketball, so that was kind of a sexist moment, and I didn't really like that because I thought it was offensive and completely unnecessary. And the girl's also like cares about her appearance 1 minute, and then like a chapter later she doesn't care at all, and there wasn't too many big effects that would make her care so much, I guess. But I just was annoyed with how the characters acted, and the girl was only in 6th grade. I think that she doesn't have enough confidence, and she's not a very good role model, I guess, for part of that. I didn't like it, and it just bothered me. And this is a New York Times best-selling author. I kind of expected more, but New York Times best-selling thing, New York Times anything, I don't really look for that at this point, because for so many books that just aren't good, but it has that mark on it, and I'm just like, I don't like that. But this book, it was a sci-fi, like, and I think the rest of the series would be a lot better, but I don't plan on reading it since I didn't really enjoy the first one. The overall writing I didn't really enjoy. I read about half of it on my own, but even then I didn't love it that much. I thought it was okay. I started reading the next one. It looked like it would become something interesting, but at this point I'm not really interested in it, and I don't find it very interesting and enjoyable for me, so I don't plan on continuing the series. I don't think I will, but, you know, could happen. The last book I'm planning on going over is Wings of Fire, The Dragonet Prophecy. I read this a few months ago, probably. I actually really enjoyed the book, and I thought that it was interesting. I usually hate books with, like, characters or main characters that aren't human, I guess. It just has something about it. It just isn't, like, enjoyable for me, I guess. I don't love it, but I thought that the characters were well written and well developed, I guess, or they were interesting characters in a diverse mix. Some parts kind of annoyed me, but it was supposed to be annoying at those parts, but some things I think could have been a bit better, but overall I definitely really liked the book. The series is really long, but there's these 4 books. I think the first 5 books are the only ones that I really thought were worth reading. I stopped at like the 10th book because I didn't really, at that point, there were different characters. It wasn't focused on the same characters, and it kind of was like, I don't want to continue that. But, so I decided to stop there. I probably will end up reading it more in the future, but, you know, I'm not positive about it, but I think this was actually a good book, worth reading. It wasn't a fly-through book. I feel like it took me time to get through it because sometimes I got annoyed and put it down at parts, but overall I think the book was worth reading. I think that the first 5 are the ones that were the only ones I really cared about, the ones that I thought were the most exciting to read, and the ones that I thought were the most enjoyable. But the rest of the series is also really good. I feel like I just expected more, though, because so many people raved to me. Like, a few of my friends and one of my cousins told me it was amazing, and they were raving to me about it. So I just expected a lot more from it, but overall, from the book, I thought it was pretty good. And the thing that I really liked about it, how these 5 books were written in each of the 5 different main character dragons in their different point of views. Each book is focused on one of their point of views, and I thought that made the story more interesting as it went along. And so the first 5 books is like its own thing. You don't have to continue reading at that point, because you basically get the entire idea of that part, but I really liked just like the first 5 books by itself. I think is all I really cared about. But overall, I definitely think this was a good book that I enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed my first video that I decided to do, and it was really actually very fun to film, and I thought it would be more stressful than it was and harder. It's probably because I had to do it a few times, but overall, I really enjoyed talking about the books Percy Jackson, Found, Wings of Fire, and New Kid. I thought that it's kind of nice to be able to get out what I feel about the books and stuff, and to share my opinion with people. I'm probably going to be doing updates on different books that I'm reading right now. I'm currently reading 3 or 4 books. I can't remember exactly, but there's some things I want to be able to talk about there, and I hope to be able to talk about those in my next video, and I hope you enjoyed.